The Good Ride, forever unsponsored.
Machette.
This is the Good Ride review of the ride Machette. And I rode it with Union Super Pros, which are kind of like Contact Pros, slightly tweaked. You know, my Adidas Tactical ADVs and Union Atlas, just to kind of get a feeling of it. This is the 55. Probably would have liked the 58 a little better, but man, I like this. And you can see it's got a pretty like medium stiff flex, and it's very damp and very mean. Check the on the table review for the camber profile and stances and all that stuff. Mainly rode it at about 22.5. And I compared it against, my Oz Custom Woody right here. Got the camera in the car to kind of protect myself from a good breeze blowing today that could be screwing with our sound. I rode it with the Twin Pig 257, which is a huge board, and totally night and day difference. I mean, it was amazing how much of a difference you would. I would have loved to have compared this back and forth between like the Machette GT and some other, fun mountain freestyle, aggressive mountain freestyle twins, but I just didn't have that many in there. So that's why I brought out, the Oz Custom Woody, because they're of similar flex. The Woody's a little softer, and it's a 57, which is close to the 55, but it's definitely a bigger ride. But they have a similar camber profile. They're both true twins. So that was the closest baseline I had to compare. Ooh, we got a big breeze here. Hopefully it's not affecting the mic. But gotta say, I love this kind of like, the feel of this board when you're in an aggressive freestyle mood. If you want a twin with the flex of like, an all mountain to free ride board, then the Machette works. If you like to bomb regular and switch, then the Machette works. If you want to butter and play around, it works okay, and I'm sure it'll soften up over time. I'm riding a, relatively new demo model. It's got this cool, like, grippy tech. Looks like they, like, sprayed on, like, the kind of stuff you see on a skate deck. So, no need for, any kind of pad there, if that's what you're into. This base is pretty dry and abused, but I don't have the time to wax these. But it's still, in the conditions I rode, from anything from hard bulletproof snow to nice, slick, fast-moving, soft spring conditions to slush, it held well. It did a really good job. It did better than I thought. The edge hold, while the base had good glide, held well, held its speed well. The edge hold's like good but not great. It's just kind of right there. Like as it starts to get hard and you get into hard patches, you could feel it just kind of wanting to let go. But it's decent for most snow most people want to ride. But if you're out on those harder days, you'll find the edge hold kind of lacking a little bit. But a lot of people like boards like this because they don't like those disruptive side cuts. They feel they're a little too grabby and a bit much. I personally don't feel that way, but I know a lot of people who do. So, if you're one of those, you might like this kind of edge hold. But all in all, I mean, it's got an interesting personality. It feels kind of heavy. Like, it's not super heavy. It just feels like on the heavy side of normal. But it's a super damp, almost dull type of board. And it's not that it's not poppy. It's super poppy, it just doesn't feel like it's going to. It feels like, and I wouldn't say even super poppy. I'd say it's like moderately poppy, but you think it's going to be dead just the way it feels. It feels like somebody injected Novocaine into this and it translates up into your body. So you're like, wow, this thing can bomb. It's super damp. It really is great in uneven snow, like all day resort riding, whether it's slow speed, uneven, crappy conditions, or just hammering through it. All kinds of uneven snow. This thing just really excels. It's kind of a fun board to kind of hammer through bumps, or turn slowly and quickly, or turn quickly through bumps, or just hammer through that weird uneven chop you can sometimes find on your way from one run to another. It just absorbs all of that, but it just gives that a kind of a dead feeling underfoot. Or ultra damp is a nice word to say it, and if you don't like it, you'd say it's dead. But what I noticed though is, like, you're like, oh, this isn't gonna pop, and then you pop off something and it actually pops. When I was comparing it to my Oz Custom Woody that has a full carbon fiber top sheet across the top, yeah, that thing out-popped this all day. But like, you know, comparing it to like the Twin Pig and many other boards I've ridden that have similar camber profiles and similar shapes, it pops. It's like right there along, you know, in the middle of the class. And you know, I think all in all, I think it's a fun board. I wouldn't get this if you're somebody who sets it back. You know, there you want to look at, you know, more like something like the Berserker, or you know, some of their more directional boards. The name escapes me right now, but it's a board I really liked and rode last year. I'll put a link in it when I remember. But all in all, super, you know, super fun for those that really like to bomb regular and switch. If you know, if you're into that, you know, ultra damp feel, this board will have a really good appeal to you. So there is the Machette. I would love to compare it to the Machette GT and get into the finite things. I was riding the Machette GT last year, but you know, that's a year ago, and you know, what I remember is that they feel very close. I think the Machette GT is just a little lighter, a little snappier, a little poppier, but they both have that kind of ultra damp, balmy kind of carvy, semi-carvy kind of switch, regular, go big in the park kind of ride. So there you have it.